Over the years, Trails of Cold Steel is one of those games that quite a few of you have suggested that I play. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have gotten around to it if it wasn't for these suggestions, but now I can thank you because I finally played the first one and it was awesome. For a bit of context, Trails of Cold Steel is part of the massive Legend of Heroes series, which started in 1989 and spans 14 main games. Since 2004, the Trails games have all been set in the same world, but the 4 Cold Steel games directly relate to each other and focus on the same group of characters. So while it's not necessary to play the other Trails games, it will give you a better understanding of this complex world. Playing Cold Steel 1, however, is very necessary if you plan to play all 4 games. After playing the first of this story-focused series, I have a feeling that things are going to get really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this series will go from here. Let's get into why Trails of Cold Steel is a must-play for JRPG fans. If there's one single thing that I would praise Trails of Cold Steel for, it is the world building. It is incredible, and it soon becomes crystal clear that there is a lot to learn about every single aspect of the world, its history, and the many characters within. The game is set in Erebonia, a massive country with a lot of problems, mainly the internal tension between the noble factions and the imperial government, but also the uncertain relationships with nearby countries and other groups. You play the role of Reen, who is just about to start his first year at the widely renowned Thor's Military Academy. You and 8 other students are soon placed in Class 7, a new experimental sort of class with a different kind of curriculum. As soon as I started this game, I got massive Persona and Fire Emblem 3 Houses vibes in its school setting, bonding with the classmates, and the options that you have during your free days. I'm a sucker for this kind of theme. The first scene of the game is set a few months in the future at a clear climactic point involving your class in some kind of war situation. You don't know much at all, but you immediately have the feeling that something big is going on. Then rewind a few months to the first day at school and the pace is completely different. Yes, there is a massive double-edged sword here, and that is that Cold Steel is a slow burner. Seriously, the majority of this 60 or 70 hour journey is told at a snail pace and very few significant events take place. But this is also what makes the storytelling so effective. Part of Class 7's curriculum is travelling around the country learning about the ins and outs of the politics and local struggles of Erebonia. While this may seem pointless at times, just about everything teaches you and the characters a lot about the world. For instance, a seemingly trivial dispute between 2 merchants at a market has some very important underlying messages about the state of Erebonia, and this knowledge is crucial for later in the game. When Cold Steel is good, it's good, but there were times that all I wanted to do was skip forward a bit and get to the action. However, if this were possible, there would have been a lot less enjoyment found in these action-packed sections, as the build-up and knowledge of the world just wouldn't have been there. While the slow story delivery will not be for everyone, personally, by the end of the game I was completely hooked and could not wait to see what's in store next for Class 7 and Erebonia.
Railway guns.
No, no, no!
No. Don't!
With the game so focused on world building and slow storytelling, it's a good thing there's a great bunch of characters. The personalities of all students in Class 7 are made immediately clear, but the time and effort that Cold Steel puts into slowly revealing their histories and why they are the way they are was one of my favourite things about the game. Some of the more important scenes are delivered with voice acting, and all of the characters sound pretty good. I just wish there were more of these voice scenes because there is a lot of reading. One thing I was a huge fan of is that the class split up into 2 different groups for each field trip. I always found it very exciting to learn which characters I would be teaming up with and where we would be going for each trip. This style of story delivery ensured that every single character got the attention that they deserved, not only from a storytelling perspective but also in combat. I mean, I really hate it when RPGs with huge casts of characters allow for certain characters to go unloved if they're not in your main party. Cold Steel's turn-based combat system doesn't offer too much in the way of innovative features, but it does more than enough to keep the battles fun. You can take up to 6 characters into each battle, with 4 main characters able to switch with the 2 reserves during their turn if needed. Each turn you can choose from basic attacks, items, a craft, which is a unique ability, or an art, which serves as magic spells. You can also manually move around the map, but I felt that the delay that this creates for your next turn was too much to make this a viable option. The characters and enemy's turn order is located on the left of screen, and sometimes you can line your turn up with a bonus such as being able to use an art instantly with no EP cost. This reminded me a bit of the event slots from the Xenosaga series, which I found pretty cool. CP can be gained by attacking enemies, and the management of this is something that always needs to be considered as it's required to unleash the character's crafts. Furthermore, if you have over 100 CP, you can unleash a super powerful S-craft that will deplete all of your remaining CP. The key here is that you can also push in line of the turn order to use your S-craft and really take advantage of manipulating the turn's bonus. Again, this is just like Xenosaga. Overall, this works well, but I will admit that going into each boss battle with maximum CP, then using all of your S-crafts was my go-to strategy for many of the boss fights. I did play the game on normal difficulty, but still I felt that abusing S-crafts made many bosses a bit of a joke. A big part of Cold Steel is getting to know your classmates and forming relationships with them. By doing this, either through battle or conversation, you'll increase their link level. This provides many benefits, such as allowing the characters that you're linked with to sneak in an extra attack if you can unbalance the enemy by exploiting its weaknesses. Deciding who to link together and when to activate assists work well in adding a little bit more depth to each battle.
What does this have to do with wanting to know about my past? Why do you want to know?
It's very simple, really. I want to know because I like you.
What are you?
I find it frustrating when I'm not able to understand those I've taken an interest in or have a high opinion of.
Cold Steel's major customization mechanic would look a little familiar to you if you've played Final Fantasy VII. To provide your characters with arts and passive abilities, you're going to have to equip them with quartz. There are loads of these to collect, which provides many character build options. These quartz range from support and offensive arts to stat increases to giving your attack status inflicting attributes. In addition, there's a single master quartz that can be equipped that greatly increase different stats and provide significant passive bonuses. Couple this with the rare and super rare versions of quartz which provide even more bonuses, and you have yourself a lot to think about with many possibilities. While this system is generally fun to tinker with, it does have its problems. Firstly, there is no way to save quartz sets for each character. This meant that whenever I went on a new field trip with a new set of characters, I would have to manually set my best quartz to them, and for a party of 6, this took 10 to 15 minutes towards the later parts of the game. Quartz that provide offensive arts are also in desperate need of additional information. The game does tell you the area of effect, but information on the art's attack power, MP usage, and the delay after casting it would have been very useful in deciding what quartz to equip. Trails of Cold Steel looks like an average PS3 game in terms of visual quality. While the character designs and environments look decent enough, they're not about to make you stop and say wow. The soundtrack, however, is worth a mention. There were quite a few standout tracks here for both the important action-packed sequences and the more emotional scenes. Through the game, you're going to go through quite a few dungeons, and they were really disappointing as they're all full of samey corridors with 90-degree angles. There's certainly nothing to write home about here. With that said, the way that you engage enemies was interesting and something I haven't seen before. Instead of just running up and attacking an enemy to engage in battle, you can use your character's weapon to try and get around the enemy and stun them from behind. If you can do this, you'll go into battle with a massive advantage. New to this PS4 remaster is a few additional features that weren't present in the original. For starters, a load of DLC was included, such as in-game items and cosmetics for Class 7. There's also a speed up option that can be turned on and off with the press of a button. I cannot tell you how handy the speed up was for both smashing through the easier random encounters and also for actually moving through dungeons and cities at a decent pace. I feel that this edition is a necessity and I couldn't imagine playing the game without it. While not the most widely known JRPG out there, Trails of Cold Steel is loved by its fans, and after completing the first in the series, it's easy to see why. This story-focused JRPG is solid in just about every area, but it's the world building that is truly incredible and the most noteworthy aspect of Cold Steel. Just about everything you do and everyone you talk to builds up this incredible world, and this makes taking part in its events so enjoyable. The characters are also very well developed. At this point, I feel like I know every one of them, which is why I I can't wait to experience another 3 games alongside them. This focus on world building comes at a cost, however, and that's its pacing. It's the slow one, and at times it will feel like nothing is really progressing, until it finally does. If you don't mind slow storytelling with a lot of reading, then Cold Steel is definitely worth checking out. What did you think of the game? Let me know in the comments. Also, hit like, sub, and join me on the socials. See you next time.